Hello, it's Johara. Welcome back to my channel, to the Richie Reader. So I'm going to be chatting about my favorite reads of 2025. So this is in no particular order, like my favorite, least favorite, or whatever. And it's definitely, it's obviously just my favorite reads. So pretty much 4 or 5 star reads in this list, and just books that either I absolutely love for whatever reason, or books that really had me thinking and interested, and I just really took away from it. So my very first read of the year is on here, which is One of Us is Back. So in 2024, late 2024, I read One of Us is Lying and One of Us is Next. And One of Us is Next was good, but still disappointed me some, just because it wasn't as good as One of Us is Lying. Not even close. One of Us is Back, I don't know if I'd say is as good as One of Us is Lying, but it's close. And it was so good. And I absolutely loved it. I loved following Addie again, because she has been my favorite character since the first book. And I absolutely loved her story and how it was dealing with her PTSD, that even though it, because Jake is back and she's dealing with how awful her relationship with him was, and how she is an abuse victim and he tried to kill her, so it's dealing with that. And I thought that was really interesting and a good resolution to her character. And I just absolutely loved it. Such a great read. I definitely liked it more than One of Us is Next, though One of Us is Next is obviously important to this book, because One of Us is Lying followed Addie, Nate, Bronwyn, and Cooper. And then One of Us is Lying is following, I don't remember his name, the guy's name. And now I can't remember her name either. So, this was the first read of the year. Okay, it was forever ago. And like I said, One of Us is Next is not as memorable as One of Us is Lying is. But it followed her, the girl that I said I can't remember her name. And as well as Addie and Nate. And the other characters were on there, they just didn't have their own POVs like the them did. Because it was following the aftermath of everything Addie and Nate went through in the first book, since they are the ones that are arguably kind of went through the most. And then the second book, she's the one that went through the most, probably, so it follows her and the aftermath of what happened in her book. So yeah, and it all ties in together. But I absolutely love the third book. Definitely 5-star read. Definitely highly recommend the series as a whole. Then Beyond the Isle of Lost. So for those of you that do not know, I'm a Descendants fan. I own the first 4 books. I don't own this book. I read this book on Libby, I believe. And this was also one of my first reads of the year. But this one was not as good as the other ones. Maybe it's because I didn't like the fourth Descendants as much as the other ones, but I still found it interesting, and I still liked it because I do enjoy Brett's character. And I like to get to see more of Wonderland, since we didn't actually get to see it in the fourth movie, and we do here, kind of like how in the first Lost book you actually get to see the Isle, whereas in the first Descendants movie not so much, since they leave the Isle pretty early on, and that's the whole point of the movie. So yeah. So that was interesting, and I like that they were trying to do this like coup sort of thing, and I did find it interesting. Like I said, don't think I like as much as the first 4, because those characters are my favorite characters, and this book obviously didn't have them. But I still found it interesting, and I still enjoyed it enough to make it this list. So, I also have Warriors: The New Prophecy. I read the entire. I didn't read a whole lot of Warriors this year like I was originally planning, but I did read the 6 books in Warriors: New Prophecy, so I'll take that. But I absolutely love this series. This arc was so good. Leafpool is one of my favorite characters in the series thus far, plus Leafpool and Crowfeather is my favorite ship of the series, so thus far. And they have this like Romeo and Juliet vibe, because they can't be together even though they love each other, and sadly, it's happier than Romeo and Juliet. It's not like they die or anything, but they still don't end up together because situations and stuff. But I love them, and I love Leafpool. She's such a sweetheart, and she always tries her best, and I love her so much. And I love Leafpool and Squirrel Flight's sisterhood. That was a huge part of the books. And there is this one thing that I thought about that does bug me a little bit when it comes to the series, is that we see that with medicine cats, they have these visions and stuff, and sometimes StarClan, which is their ancestors that are dead, will come to other people in dreams, but usually it's medicine cats. Very few times do they go to anyone else unless they just really need that person. Because medicine cats have a higher relationship with StarClan because it's their whole purpose in life. And but it's like there's this connection between Squirrelfly and Leaf that no other sibling in any of the clans ever seem to have. I don't know if they will in future books, but the two of them could sense when the other was in danger, even when they were far away. Like, Squirrelfly was planning this journey in book 1, and Leafpool knew something was up, so she followed Squirrelfly, found out about the journey, and when Squirrelfly was gone, it's like she could always sense when Squirrelfly was in danger, or sad, or scared, or angry, or whatever, even though she was miles and miles and miles away. And then when Squirrelfly was on her way back from the journey at the end of book 1, and the beginning of book 2, she could feel Leafpool in danger, and she even had a vision of Leafpool, of what was happening to Leafpool. This has never been shown to happen to any other characters and relationships, and it's like, I would like a little bit more conclusion, like, why are their connections so strong that they can sense each other's emotions, that they can see what's happening to each other? Because I've never seen that happen. But like I said, there's still a lot of books, so maybe it'll happen again, and maybe there's further explanation, because I'm pretty sure the third book has to do with Squirrelflights and Vermiclaw's kids, so Leaf will probably be on that. So maybe I'll get into it. I highly doubt it, but it was just a thought I had while reading that book. But anyways, moving on. I have Suffer for Art and Hemmed In, both short poetry stories. Not usually my forte, but these were really interesting, by Sophie Browns. And Suffer for Art was really interesting because as an artist, we're all artists, creators, whatever, because I'm a writer. And it was really interesting to see somebody struggling to try to make it, because it's very relatable. And then, so that one especially. And then I also have on here Krampus Bad Fur Day by Michelle Franklin. I thought it was really interesting and really sweet. I also have by her Dragons Don't Celebrate Passover, Griffins Don't Celebrate Shavuot, Vampires Don't Observe Shavuot, and Werewolves Don't Celebrate Hanukkah. I mentioned this on my wrap-up that I just did, but I love learning new cultures and history, and I just thought some of these holidays I had either never heard of or knew very little about. It was really interesting to be able to truly learn about these cultures, to learn about these holidays and see what they do and how special they are and how amazing and important, and to learn a little bit more, to see somebody else's takes on some of these creatures as well, with vampires, werewolves, griffins, dragons, because everyone has a different take on these creatures, and I always find it interesting to see what a different person's take on them is. So that was very interesting. So definitely enjoyed those reads. I also have To Miss the Stars by Barbara Lieberman. So this book, I'm not entirely sure what I was expecting with this book, but it is not what I got. But I am not complaining, because it was actually so good and so interesting and so tragic, but beautifully written. And it actually made me a little sad at one point, but I thought it was so good. It's like they had this a forbidden love affair, and they were sending each other letters, and it's like they didn't even know each other that well, but they were getting to know each other via letters and showing how much they mean to each other, as well as I love the main guy's relationship with his little sister, and how this girl via letters is really sweet to her as well, and it was really nice, especially since they don't really have that with his wife. Yes, this is, like I said, it is technically an affair. They don't do anything, but there is an emotional affair with it all. But their relationship was just so beautiful, so tragic, and that ending had me shocked, had me reeling. I am still so shocked by it, because I was not expecting that, but I highly recommend this book. So good. Um, da, da, da. Okay, I have Clownworm by Adam Andrews Johnson. So this book was really good. So one thing Adam is so good about, okay, is taking a trope or a type of person, character, whatever, and switching stereotypes, like just throwing the stereotype out the door. Like in his Mantis Gland series, which I love, there's a lot of persecution in real life, which I am very much against. That has to do with drag queens, like people claiming that they are the bad ones, they can't be trusted with children, and so on. Of course, I do not agree. Of course, I think that is bogus because we all know they're not the real culprits of anything. And in Mantis Gland series, the drag queens are the heroes. They are the ones that are saving kids. They're the ones that are running an orphanage. And then in Clownworm, he made it so, because a lot of times in a horror movie, horror book, whatever you want to call it, and if there are clowns, clowns are the evil ones. There are so many. There is obviously It, which is the most well known, probably. Then there's Terrifier. I've only seen the first one of those. Been meaning to watch the other ones. Have not gone to it. I've only seen the original, but I do want to check out the reboots. And then Clown in a Cornfield, the newest one, which I mentioned in my TBR. I want to read the book and then watch the movie because the movie came out recently, and then I found out there's a book, which I am interested in the series. But I like because I don't think clowns are as scary as some people say. My mom and I were debating this just the other day when I said I wanted to watch Clown in a Cornfield because me, and Porcelain, my sister, 15-year-old sister, have been watching horror movies, and I said that was on my list. And my mom was like, I'm not joining you for that one because she does not like clowns. And I just never understood it because I don't think clowns are creepy. But in every horror movie you see, clowns are always the bad guys. But not in this one. The two main characters are the clowns, and they're the ones that ends up saving the day. And that's just one thing that Adam seems to do in this writing a lot that I absolutely love. And I definitely love that he does that. Admire it. He is such an amazing writer, and I absolutely love this book. It was not what I was expecting, but in the best way possible. And I love the relationship between the two main characters and how they were in this like little rebellion trying to overthrow the government in a world that they were just thrown into out of the blue. And it was just so good, and I highly recommend it. I'm pretty sure I rated it 5 stars. Such a great read. I also have The Librarian and The Assassin by Adam on here as well. This one I read before it was published, and it was also so good. This is a sapphic story about, well, a librarian and assassin. It has that right in the name. But it was so good. The two main characters had such compelling story arcs, separately and together, and the main obstacle being that, this I don't think is too much of a spoiler because it has assassin in the name, but one of them ends up killing for money because she's grown up poor in this like dystopian world her entire life. So and then she realizes that this is good money. She only wants to do it for people that deserve it though. So she does have some morals. And then the other main character wasn't a fan of that because she's not big on killing. So that's their main obstacle. But it's so interesting to see like the sapphic couple. They have such this healthy communication, and their main obstacle being this one thing, but they've managed to get around it and find a way to be together. But their story was so beautiful, and I definitely highly recommend. I also have Drawing Lines in Blood, Thawing the Nightmare, and The Girl in Red, all by Alyssa Louted, all part of the Towers of Memory series. This is books 3, 4, and 5, 3, 4, and 5 of her series, which I obviously love the first 2 in her series as well, but I read those in 2024. These were the ones I read in 2025. And they're so good. Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with these books. Okay, this entire series is so amazing. It's been a hot minute since I read Drawing Lines in Blood and Thawing the Nightmare, so those I might not remember as well. The Girl in Red I remember very well because I finished it this month. But they were all so good. I absolutely love. I know that in one of them you see more of Seraphina's family because. So she never knew much of her mom's family because she grew up in the human realm with which is where her dad's from, and her mom kind of is estranged to most of her family until Seraphina starts back up at school. And so for the holiday, since they were all off at school, her mother and her father all went to her mother's side of the family's house, and I really love that story arc because Jarek, who she met at school before she even knew that he was her cousin, they became friends, and I really like. So you meet them first as friends, technically, and it takes a minute before you even know that they're cousins. And then I liked this story arc because you not only got to see Seraphina's mother's side of the family more, but you also got to see Seraphina and Jarek cousin-like. And yeah, so it was very nice seeing that side of their relationship because they are cousins. They just didn't grow up as cousins. So they're so when you think of them, they're more like friends, but who just happen to be cousins. But the cousin card is coming out more since they're hanging out more with their families. For that, you also got to see the first time her mom really spoke to this side of the family for first time in forever during the whole parents coming to school sort of thing, and that was interesting. And it was funny because everyone kept being like, "Oh my gosh, you must really be like your dad, huh?" Because this is before any of them met her dad, and it was funny because she is so much more. I mean, don't get me wrong, her side of her, the part of her that's like her mother, is starting to show more, but she definitely gets more traits from her dad. And a lot of people were seeing that because when they met her mom, they're like, "You're just really like your dad, aren't you?" Because they just were not seeing it at all, and I find that hilarious. And then the girl in red, I screamed at one point that I might throw her for the rest of the day because of this huge plot twist. I knew there was going to be a reveal, and I knew it had to do with this one character. I don't want to spoil too much. I mean, it's called The Girl in Red, so I don't think saying this much is a spoiler, but Dragon Tower is haunted by Red, who is a ghost, and you get a reveal on Red's identity and exactly her story, sort of, and I don't know what I was expecting because I knew there was a reveal about this character, but that is not what I was expecting. Not at all. Not at all. Still don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't that, and it made me scream, and my throat hurt. But I loved Feathers and her connection because I'm obsessed with their relationship. They are my favorite duo. And I know I've told her this about a million times. She's probably tired of hearing it. But Feathers is my favorite character, and Feathers and Seraphina is my favorite relationship. Okay, I absolutely love them. They are two Arrow Ace besties, and I'm obsessed with them. And at the end of this is one chapter I absolutely love because Seraphina goes to Feathers because she wanted to try something and goes somewhere she hasn't gone before because she thinks it might lead to some answers. And she ends up asking Feathers because there's not a person she could imagine doing this with besides him, which I love. I feel like he was always the first one she trusted and whatever. But at the end of it, so these books are in Seraphina's POV, but at the end of the last chapter of every book is a scene that you already saw, but in a different character's POV, which is a really interesting take, which I've never seen before. So if it's an important moment, we get to see it again, but in a different character's point of view, because we're so used to seeing Seraphina's point of view. It's good to see how differently someone else will act to the same situation, and seeing how worried. I mean, it's one thing to see Feathers be worried about Seraphina in Seraphina's head, but to see it in his head was just a whole new thing, and I was obsessed with it. Anyways, moving on. Next is Water's Edge by Ellie Lieberman. This book was so good. So I will be doing a birthday and Christmas book haul soon. So I don't want to spoil too much by saying what I got and stuff because I'm just waiting. Because Ellie actually said she was sending me book B and An Impossible Dream. She said sometime after the new year. I don't know when it will be, but I wanted to wait till I get those books before I do my haul because they will be a part of my haul. But I did want to show this just because since we're talking about it. But I got Water's Edge. I mean, obviously, I just got this month because it was my birthday present, and I read this. This was like, according to Goodreads, this was my first review of the year. So it wasn't my first book of the year, but it was my first review of the year. So I did read it closer to the end of the year. And but I wanted to buy it because I was obsessed with it because when I first was reading it, I was in the living room reading it on my phone because I was beta reading it, I believe, with my mom. And her friend Makila was over, and they were talking, and I was just reading all silently by myself. And I kept interrupting them because there were these really thought-provoking lines that were so empowering. And when I got this book, and it was showing my mom the books I got, and she was looking. I reminded her about that. She's like, "Oh yeah, I do remember that," because there was just so many thought-provoking lines. And I think a lot of her books have thought-provoking lines. But I'm so excited to reread this and tab it. I love tabbing my books. If you did not know, if you're not new to this channel, you probably do know this because I do love to reread and I love to tab. And I don't annotate, like I don't like highlight or write in my books, but I do tab them. I have color coding tabs. But I love this book so much, and I'm so excited to reread it at some point this year. So yeah. But highly recommend that book as well. And then A Dance of Bow and Blade is the last book I'm going to be talking about. I beta read this earlier this month or late last month, something like that. Or, well, technically it's January right now, so either early December or late November. I read this, I beta read it, and it's not published yet, but I so highly recommend it for when it is, because it is about, it's a King Arthur retelling as well as a Robin Hood retelling, but it's sapphic. So R2 is the queen and the King Arthur part, and then Robin, who is the female version of Robin Hood, do not like each other because they are everything the other is against. Like Arthur's against the thieves, Robin's against royalty and knights, and so they have this attraction towards each other that they can't exactly hide, but they also hate each other and what they stand for, which is a very interesting premise. And then the two of them, as well as Robin's band of thieves and Arthur's knights, all end up having to go on this journey, and they're not the only ones to hate each other. Don't get me wrong, the knights hate the thieves hate the knights. There's plenty of fighting all around, okay? There is a huge plot twist that did have me screaming. I mean, and it's not that, it's like, there ends up being this thing, I don't want to spoil too much because it's not published yet, and I wasn't expecting it, not because it wasn't obvious in a way, but because, I don't know how to explain this without spoiling anything, so I guess I'll just stop there, but it was just so good, and I highly, highly recommend it. Such a good read, definitely one of my highlights of the year. I am obsessed, and I cannot wait till it's published. And I cannot wait till I own it and be able to reread it and tab that one as well, which will hopefully soon. So yeah. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment your favorite reads of 2025. I'll chat with you guys below in the comments. Until next time.